Well, this is a disturbing headline. A chemical found in Cheerios and Quaker oats may cause fertility issues, study suggests. What to know about Chlormequat? How many of you did this when you saw this headline? Headlines like this can be confusing and scary, which is why I want to do my best to break it down for you. Chlormequat is a chemical that is used as part of the agricultural process for grain crops. It's not currently approved for use in the United States, but we are able to import products where this chemical was used, and these are potential exposures. So oat-based or wheat-based products, a lot of the time coming from other countries, involve the use of this chemical. Now, the issue with Chlormequat is that there is some animal data that suggests a link between exposure to Chlormequat and fertility problems. It's also worth noting that there are also several animal model-based studies that fail to show any association between exposure to Chlormequat and fertility outcomes. Scientists from the Environmental Working Group did a study where they looked at urine samples from about 100 individuals over the past 5 years from 3 different geographical locations across the country, and they were able to measure the levels of Chlormequat in the urine samples. What they found was that there was a significant increase in the concentration of Chlormequat in the urine samples in 2023 compared to back in 2017 or 2018 to 2022. The researchers in this study also sampled 25 different oat-based products in U.S. grocery stores in 2022 and 2023, and all but 2 had varying levels of Chlormequat detected. And that's where Cheerios and Quaker oats come in. Chlormequat is a chemical with a short half-life, so it's thought to leave your body rather quickly. So this finding of an increasing level over the past few years indicates that there is ongoing exposure. Back in 2018, the EPA set a threshold where they said anything below that threshold was considered safe in terms of the level of exposure to this chemical. And that threshold was actually raised in 2020. And it's important to note that the levels that were detected in the samples in this study were magnitudes lower than those thresholds set forth by the EPA. However, in the animal studies that showed a positive association between Chlormequat exposure and adverse fertility outcomes, the levels detected in mice and the animal models were much lower than the levels detected in human urine in this recent study that was released. Now, our bodies are different. Our biology is different than mice. We're bigger. Do the levels that affect reproductive systems in mice translate into the reproductive system of humans being affected? I don't think so. I don't think we can necessarily make that extrapolation. The fact is that there is no data in the human model. And so the best we can do is rely on animal data and do the best that we can with the data that we have. Since this is a newer chemical and its mechanism of action is thought to be a lot different from the typical endocrine disruptors, which we know will mimic the structure of certain hormones or be able to bind certain hormone receptors, we don't really truly understand the mechanism of how this could affect fertility. There are some thoughts that it could affect the biosynthesis of hormones or have effects at the cellular level. But the fact is that we need to be able to look at human data and study the levels in humans and look at their fertility outcomes to really understand if there's an impact. The truth is we don't know enough yet. And when you don't have all of the necessary data to make a very clear decision one way or the other, the best thing to do is to use common sense. I wouldn't lose sleep over the fact that you ate a bowl of Cheerios last week if you're trying to conceive. But I would say, yes, I would avoid eating Cheerios because it's bad to have processed food. We know that there are certain dietary patterns that are associated with lower outcomes, whether you're trying to conceive with or without assistance. So, if you want to really think thoughtfully and critically about everything that you're doing and putting inside your body, I would minimize as much as you can the intake of processed foods. And by doing that, you're going to be limiting your exposures and reducing your risks overall.